Hello, welcome to Tuesday Live. I am Omini Odan. The environment is often seen as the soul of the earth, given its importance to man and animals alike. Much attention is being paid to the sector, especially in the last 5 years. The gains, prospects, and challenges will form the second leg of discussions on Tuesday Live tonight. We beam our searchlight on violence against women and girls. Here we refer to the issue of rape that is fast on the increase. The reports of rape is one many say is fast giving Nigeria a bad image and giving rise to the questions on how stringent are the laws on offenders. Where is the missing link for a country renowned for moral values? What are the long-term effects on the rape victims? We'll talk about this after this report by Dayo Ogunshola.
At a time when the wave of public outcry against the menace of rape continues swelling across the nation, there came another sad news of the tragic death of an 18-year-old Baraka Bello, an 91 student of Federal College of Animal Health and Production, Mo Plantation, Ibadan. Engineers crew set out of the sprawling city of Ibadan to the location of the sad event at Itabi Oloro, an agrarian community along Old Ibadan Road. The pensive mood that enveloped the home of the deceased reflects the calmness of the area, with tens of sympathizers putting up mournful looks. Father, late Baraka Bello, was already out to attend to security demand that borders on the sad event, but her mother and close relative gave insight into the incident.
It is a Mom Baraka called us on Monday in the evening that Baraka is dead. So immediately my mommy come around to this side to come and ask what is happening with my younger sister. It means that it was unknown minds that come meet her in this house. She wanted to bathe on that day and she was raped and she was murdered.
Before the incident happened on Monday, I had reported that on Saturday that some people called Sagulu came to their environment trying to pick a phone through the window. I think we should trace, and they even pick some irons, engines of the car maker. They pick it along. When they came to do it.
The mother is between the girl, the perpetrator, and Allah. I can't say exactly how it happened, and I don't have any power. I rely on God, hoping that whoever was responsible will be caught.
Fellow students at Mo Plantation and other concerned Nigerians demanded that justice be done on the matter.
This is a pathetic issue, and we don't want it again. We need justice.
If a person is not punished for an act that he or she has committed, of course it will embolden, if not him, another person beside him.
As we speak, investigation is ongoing, and I'm certain that not too long from now, something positive will come out of that investigation.
This is a grassroots community where good human relations and neighborliness is supposed to be the order of the day. Unfortunately, the barbaric idea of rape has crept into this community. Left before the security agencies across the nation now is to unravel the mystery behind the untimely death of young Barakat.
That report sets the tone for the first few minutes of discussions on gender-based violence on Tuesday Live tonight. My guest via Zoom tonight is Dr. Eleanor Nwadinobi. She's the president, Medical Women International Association, MWIA. Good to have you join us on Tuesday Live tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, quoting you directly in one of your public engagements, you described the issue as the big elephant that must be demolished. How do you mean?
I said that is the big elephant in the room for Nigeria right now. I'm so emotional after watching that video about Barakat Bello. The reason is that I spent some of my younger years in Moore Plantation, the very vicinity where the dastardly act of rape, sexual violence was carried out. A safe community upon which I felt safe as a young girl riding my bike. And the thought sends shudders down my spine that that could have happened to me. It's the elephant in the room right now because we are hearing reports every day. Our frontline civil society organizations who are really standing in the gap, providing shelters. Thankfully, we have a very proactive Minister of Women's Affairs who broke down herself, but she didn't stop at breaking down. She called people together to consult and to say, how can we do something about this? And she used her advocacy skills. But what is going on is not right. It's not okay that our girls are being raped, sexually violated, women and girls of all ages. It is not okay. We need people to speak out. We need zero tolerance. What we need is for there to be a whole of government and a whole of society approach to bringing an end to violence against women and girls, and in particular sexual violence.
Okay, Doctor, in your position as the president of the Medical Women International Association, during your session with the President Muhammadu Buhari, you gave the assurance that you will use your position to strategically fight some of these hydra-headed issues in Nigeria. How do you intend to achieve this, and what recommendations do you have for law enforcement regarding this in Nigeria?
Well, let me start from local to global. Locally, I am relevant in my community because I have added my voice to speak up and speak out against the rape of our women and girls of all ages. I have rallied our members together in the various states where we have had these incidents. They have partnered with other civil society organizations, the Medical Women's Association of Nigeria, partnering with female lawyers, partnering with other civil society organizations to speak up and speak out and to protest, and also to work through the laws that we have already. But the operationalization of those laws is simply not working. We are saying, let the sex offenders register be visible to all. Let us name and shame the perpetrators. We have sexual assault referral centers where we're bringing together medical experts, the police, civil society organizations. In Lagos, we have, for example, the Mirabel Center. In Enugu, we have the Tema Center. But we do not have enough shelters. Right now, what we have is a pandemic within a pandemic, because right through the COVID-19 pandemic, we have had the intersecting pandemic of violence against women and girls who are locked down with their abusers. And yet, we do not have those who are able to respond as part of the priority response mechanism. Globally, what are we doing? We are part of a movement calling for a global treaty to bring an end to violence against women and girls. When we have a global norm, just like the Tobacco Treaty or the Landmines Treaty, governments will find themselves responsible. Coming back to Nigeria, we are asking at the highest level for condemnation of these acts, for zero tolerance. We're asking parents to be responsible. We want responsible parenting. Start in the homes to talk to the boys and the girls. Let boys have respect for girls. Let us ensure that our girls are protected. Let us make sure that there's speedy dispensation of justice. Our National Assembly should sit up. We put them there to speak on our behalf. And now we're saying speak on behalf of our daughters, our sisters, wives, aunties. Let us break that silence around sexual violence, and let us break the silence of impunity. Let perpetrators be brought to book. The Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act that took 14 years to be passed was eventually made an act in 2015. Sadly, it only has its jurisdiction in the Federal Capital Territory. Kudos to the 11 states that have passed, domesticated the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. The other states, wake up, and please pass the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. The states that have not passed the act need to do so immediately. The states that have not passed the Child's Rights Act need to do so immediately. I have to apologize, I'm angry.
Thank you, Dr. Elono Nwadinobi. Dr. Elono Nwadinobi is the President, Medical Women International Association. She joined us via Zoom in Abuja. It was nice having you on Tuesday Live tonight.
Thank you very much.
And back to our second leg. Our first leg, we did a brief on gender violence. Our second leg is fully on environmental governance, 5 years in Nigeria. Nigerian environment, like that of many in other countries, has recorded challenges such as soil erosion and water hyacinth, industrial pollution, drought, desertification, and flooding that is compounded with climate change. The impact is enormous, with economic losses, agricultural activities, and herders and farmers clash in search of pasture for livestock over the years, and in recent times, various measures have been taken to ensure environmental sustainability as an aspect of socio-economic development. Environmental remediation has been of great concern to the present government, evident with programs and policies in tackling land degradation with Ogoni cleanup, with a great green wall to tackle desertification, soil reclamation of erosion areas, controlling and clearing water hyacinth. What is being done in the area of enforcing environmental laws and regulations? How far with federal government's 25 million trees project? Answers and more after this background report by Onenge Fineface.
Oil and gas deposits in the Niger Delta region of Nigeria gave rise to exploration activities with attendant consequences on the environment. Ogoniland, comprising 4 local government areas of Kana, Gokana, Tai, and Eleme, was among the worst hit with oil spills, which resulted in the pollution and contamination of several communities, rivers, and farms. Environmental degradation in Ogoniland lasted over 4 decades, with attendant protests and eventual shutting down of oil operations in the area. The United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, came up with a report on Ogoniland, which was published in 2011. The report concludes that pollution by petroleum hydrocarbon is extensive in land areas, sediments and swamplands, contaminating soil and groundwater, vegetation, aquatic life, and affecting public health. Respite came the way of Ogoniland on 2nd June 2016, when the federal government officially flagged off implementation of the UNEP report at Bodo, Gokana local government area of Rivers State.
This monument on the occasion of the official launch of the oil spill cleanup in Ogoniland by President Muhammadu Buhari, President Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This cleanup is for the benefit of the people of Ogoniland and other surrounding communities in the Delta and to the glory of God.
The flag-off was also an opportunity for Ogoni people to renew trust and confidence in the federal government after decades of protests and demand for cleanup.
The cleanup of this land will require change on the part of all those who deal with the Niger Delta environment, particularly the oil companies and our communities. The tempo of activities for this assignment increased when my cabinet was constituted. The Honorable Minister of Environment consulted all relevant ministries that could actualize the UNEP report.
Several efforts have been made so far to actualize the cleanup, with other interventions like medical outreaches, training support from UNEP, livelihood trainings for members of pollution-impacted communities, among others. However, meeting up with set timelines has remained a major setback confronting the Ogoni cleanup exercise.
The IOCs have been able to come up with as much as $360 million. Prior to this time, everybody was aware it was just $180 million. The procurement processes are very, very cumbersome and slow. And so government must find a way to provide waivers so that procurement processes to ensure that this project, goes on accordingly.
Honestly, we are not where we want to be, because this 21 site, either we should have finished all the 21 or should have finished a great number of them. But there is a time lag. We have found issues with timelines, we have found issues with execution, everything. So, but now, with the approval of Mr. President, we are engineering the whole structure, not only the cleanup, but has also approved project on livelihood.
Another challenge lurking in the background is that of illegal artisanal refining, which is causing damage to several swamplands. Pollution from illegal refining is said to have huge impact on the environment and could compromise the outcome of ongoing efforts at clean-up of Ogoniland and other parts of the Niger Delta region. In Abuja, Onengiye Fineface, NTA News.
Onengiye's Fineface report sets the tone for the takeoff of the second part of Tuesday Live Tonight, which is 5 years of environmental remediation under President Muhammadu Buhari. In keeping with the social distancing policy, we are doing 2 studios in Abuja, and we'll be joining one of our guests in our Port Harcourt Network Center. Right here with me, I have Dr. Muhammad Mahmoud Abubakar, Minister of Environment. Good to have you on the program tonight.
Thank you.
Professor Shola Adepoju, Director General, National Forestry Research Institute of Nigeria, Ibadan. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, my pleasure.
From our News 24 studio, we have Isa Abubakar Sadiq. He's from the National Agency for Great Green Wall. Welcome to Today's Alive. The first studio is Idris Musa, Director General, Chief Executive, National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, NOSDRA. Good to have you on the program tonight. Okay, from our Port Harcourt Network Center, we have Mr. Marvin Dekil. Marvin Dekil is a project coordinator, hydrocarbon pollution remediation project in our Port Harcourt Network Center. Welcome to the program. Gentlemen, let's begin. Well, starting with you, the Honourable Minister, in geography they say as the crow flies, or you say on a flash of light. Could you give us a perspective, general perspective of where we are regarding 5 years of environmental remediation under the ministry, under your watch?
Remediation, are you talking about Ogoni first or in general?
Across board, on a flash.
A lot has been accomplished. We have a president that is environmentally conscious, who wants to make sure that our environment is clean, healthy, because it means healthy people, it means productive people. So he has done quite a bit, starting with the Ogoni that you have just finished. As you can see, previous administrations where the report of UNEP started, none of those were able to really get the program going, the project. Incidentally, he made a promise during the campaign and fulfilled. So during his time, the actual remediation started. For planting of trees that you have mentioned, again during his time, the Agency for Great Green Wall and all the other agencies that are concerned with tree planting, afforestation, reforestation have also been empowered. Budget have increased, and so many other issues. So this is a president that is environmentally conscious. Almost every major international conference that has to do with environment, he attends by himself, not sending an emissary or a representative. So a lot is going on. Our forest cover has increased because of the intervention we are getting from the government. We have gotten more legislation to be either amended or passed, and the president will assent, and so many other things that showed a departure, a remarkable departure from business as usual. So we have gotten somewhere, particularly the increase in forest cover. That has been a major problem because one of the Paris Agreement is about reduction in emission. And the best way, of course, to sink the carbon to reduce emission, apart from the machineries to make sure they are not producing too much or working fine, is the tree plants that sink the carbon.
Let's go to the big one.
Yes.
Where are we with our nationally determined goals regarding climate change?
Yes, during the Paris Agreement, we pledged to reduce emission by 20% by the year 2020. So we are here. We have done that. During that same period, we promised to reduce by 45% this time around with the help of international organizations. We are on course. We are doing that. Greatly, emission has been reduced since our forest has increased. Our enforcement agencies are tightening the bolt as far as emission is concerned. We have 2 new laws that are coming on. One is the regulation of emission from generators. The second one from motor vehicles. Even though in the past we have tried to do that with motor vehicles, but not quite successful. Now this time around, we are serious about that and is about to take off. That is another great source of reducing the emissions. So with emission also we are there. Nationally determined contribution, we are there.
Okay. If you're just joining us, the focus tonight is the 5 years of environmental remediation under President Muhammadu Buhari. You can be part of the conversation at some point. Our lines will be open, and when we are through to you, turn down the volume of your television set and raise your concerns and your questions, and our team of guests will address them. Also through our Twitter handle at TuesdayLiveNTA. Let's quickly go to Port Harcourt now, where Dakil is waiting. Dakil is a project coordinator, hydrocarbon pollution remediation project, Ogoni Cleanup. When this project was flagged off, there were misgivings, it's a scam, it's one of those things. Where are we with it right now?
Well, thank you very much. I want to use this opportunity to thank the president, just like the Honorable Minister stated. It took the president to start the remediation of Ogoniland. It took the president to start the implementation of a report that was submitted 9 years ago, getting started now. So the remediation of impacted land in Ogoniland has started. It is a project that is unique in several ways. It has several complexities. It's a project that you could have your money and it still won't work. You could have the resources and it still won't work. So it took a combination of all the factors, the political will of the president to get this started. And the Honorable Minister, being an environmental scientist himself, has also come in to reinvigorate this process, to give us more direction. And like you can see, we are still re-engineering the process to ensure that this process works to perfection. So it is something that is going. Currently, we have 21 contractors on site. On the average, each of those 21 contractors, we are on about 60% completion. Our projection is in that in the next 3 to 4 months, we would have had those sites all completed. We are getting ready to introduce another set of 29 contractors, remediation contractors, and 9 assessment contractors. This is the second phase of the remediation of less complex sites. These sites will be handed over, has been handed over by the minister already, and we are mobilizing, getting ready to deploy 29 of these contractors back to site. What is most important that this project has generated a whole lot of number of jobs for the people. In the offices, we employ about 150 people directly and another 50 thereabout indirectly. In the fields, the first phase of the project, the 21 companies employ on average about 25 locals. That is about 700 employment opportunities generated for the locals. We are just about to introduce another 36 times 25, 900 more added. So we are talking about an average of about 2,000 opportunities given to the Ogoni people in terms of employment. A striking feature of the project, again, is the capacity development element. Before we started this remediation work, we took the scientists, a group of scientists, young scientists from Ogoniland, we trained them on sampling, on remediation technique. And where did we train them? We took them all the way to Geneva, trained by UNEP themselves, and they are world-class environmental experts from the indigenous environment, indigenous experts. We continue to do this training as we speak. We have also done training of the entire 720 people we're employing in the field. We've given them technical training on field remediation skills. So we are carrying out a whole lot. We've concluded arrangement to deploy the first phase of a 1,200 women training program, 400 to start. We would have started now if not for the COVID thing. So we are talking to UNITA to ensure that the environment is COVID compliant so that we can deploy the next 400 women in the field. So there's a whole lot going on. We are doing a lot. We are training for more capacity. This is a project that, as a nation, we're all very proud of. For the first time in the history of Nigeria, the government is carrying out remediation by itself. We are not talking about the oil companies doing it. And we are also redefining it. We are remediating to depths of up to 10 meters, where contamination has never been removed in the life of this country, in the history of this country. We are also using technology that are most compliant, most effective. A recent study, a tour of the governing council members, we went to similar sites in the United Kingdom, and we discovered that most of the sites were using biological options. So 80% of the contaminants we want to remove in Ogoniland are biological. And so that's why we're using the bioengineer and the biocells to do the remediation. We are using a cost-effective, environmental-friendly procedure to remediate sites that has never been done to the depth that we are currently doing.
Update the kill. Well, Professor Adepoju, you are of the National Forest Research Institute. I know by the last record, I don't know if it's updated now, that the remaining percent tropical rainforest is in Nigeria. Now, looking at the perspective of sustainable, unsustainable exploitation of forest and non-timber forest products. Where are we with it in terms of the forest canopy in Nigeria?
Thank you, my brother. I think I want to join my colleague to appreciate this government and this administration. I've been in forestry for about 25 years now, and this is the first time that there will be a set-aside budget for forest sector. 2018, when the green bond commenced, we were able to plant 834.6 hectares. And that alone took Nigerian forest cover from 4.5 to 6.7. Yes, we're far from the 25% that is the standard and the expected minimum forest cover of every country. But with the timetable the Honorable Minister has given us, we're able to plant 834 in 2018. When last year, when we were in New York, and he passed the mandate to us that next year you have to raise 25 million, 3 seedlings, it's like the Honorable Minister wants to break us. As I speak to you, we've been able to share this among ourselves. Forestry Research of Nigeria alone is raising 13-point-something million seedling on ground now. And Greenwood has been able to do theirs about 7.5 million seedlings. I'm saying this because I coordinate all the program. And NCF, an NGO who is also into the forest activities, has also been able to raise about 3 million. Forestry Department has been able to do about 1.5 million. So you just look at it, we're already at 25 million. And if you are following the trend, just some few days ago, the Honorable Minister of Environment handed over 1 million seedlings to Kaduna State Government. And so I was just telling him today that I'm under prayer, that so many people are coming now on board. Today we've just been able to do that of ABU, we'll be able to do that of NDA, Niger is on the line, Kwara is on the queue, so we're doing this. Adamawa is on the queue, Gombe is already doing theirs, and we're complementing with under 1 million seedling. So if we sustain this, in less than 5-10 years, we will have surpassed the minimum requirement of 25% forest cover. And each hectare, when fully established, sinks 6.5 tons per annum of carbon. So in getting the 45% that is promised, without the external support, it will be easier for us. But the only step we have is the federal government has no land of its own. And so you can hardly stop logging or illegal activities in the forest because you are limited to just policy issues. So the only pressure the minister has been pressurizing other stakeholders is to get us having the gazetted land again. That was what made the Honorable Minister to meet with the Governor Forum. And that they pledge to get all the land that they want to hand over to us gazetted, and so that we can have it. So in terms of sustainability of the forest, we're almost there. You talk about the non-timber forest product, and that is what is happening even at the COVID period, because the resources from the forest are readily available, but because of the approach we're taking, we are on don't take all, just plant yours so that you can survive.
Okay, let me hold you there. When I come back to you, I shall be taking you on where are we with the UN RED project, and also in all this, are you putting in context the issue of watershed management? Let's go to Issa Abubakar Sadiq. By now, we expect to have a good barricades of windshield, good carbon stock, and merchantable trees, given the number of years the Green Great Wall project has existed. Are we up to speed with this?
Since 2013 to date, we have established a lot of plantation vis-a-vis shelter belts, woodlots, and orchards. In 2013-2014, we have established over 194.66 kilometers of shelter belt. Then 74.5 hectares of woodlots and 149 hectares of orchards. Then in 2015, we established 210 kilometers of shelter belts, then 105 hectares of woodlots and 58.5 hectares of orchards. In 2016, what we did is we raised ceilings. Then all the plantation that we did in 2014, 2015, we went back and do the beating off. And also we distribute some ceilings to the farmers for farm managed system. In 2018, we established 65 kilometers of shelter belts, then 89 hectares of woodlots, and 43 hectares of orchards. In 2020, we are planning to plant 5 million seedlings across 5 states in the northern part of the country. The states are Sokoto, Katsina, Jigawa, Yobe, and Borno State. So far, we have identified about 10 standard plant nurseries where we are planting 550,000 seedlings in 2 sites in a state, making 1,100,000 seedlings per state in 5 states. Also, the other remaining, since we are operating in 11 frontline states, the remaining 6 states, we are establishing 250,000 seedlings in each of these states. Like what I mentioned is the states are Bauchi, Kano, Gombe, Adamawa, Kebbi, and Zamfara states.
Just to put the record straight, I understand a lot of persons don't understand the scope of the Green Wall project is not fully Nigerian, it's concentrated somewhere. Can you just give us an idea about the scope of the project so that people don't misunderstand us here?
The National Agency for the Great Green Wall in Nigeria is among the 11 countries that signed the GGW Convention, that include Senegal, Niger, Djibouti, Chad, Mauritania, Mali, Sudan, Ethiopia, Burkina Faso, and Eritrea. And we are to establish plantation across 1,500 kilometers by 30 kilometers width. So far, since 2013, we have been establishing this plantation. So the record that I gave was 2019. So this is what we have been doing since that time.
Hey, Dr. Sadiq, because we need to clear it, because if people hear Green Wall project, forestry, we don't talk about the south, they will not understand the scope of the project. Now, to Idris Musa, besides what we heard from the Ogoni cleanup, bring us up to speed. Where are we with what you're doing at Nosdra?
Very much for making us to make our own contribution. In addition to what is done in Ogoniland, we have other areas of the oil-producing areas that are equally impacted by hydrocarbon. The concentration of effort is on Ogoniland right now, but that is because at a point in time there was a stop in the cleanup and remediation of oil-impacted sites in that part of the country for obvious reasons. And haven't been able to resolve what happened there,
the cleanup of Ogoniland started in earnest. And in fact, as a matter of fact, in starting it, it's also started from the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency through the Federal Ministry of Environment. But other parts of the oil-producing areas where we still have oil pollution, the oil companies that are in those areas are made to clean up wherever we have oil pollution in Ogoniland. And the areas that are still of concern that have not actually been adequately captured are the areas of artisanal refining, especially those areas where people engage in illegal refining of crude oil. And each time they are dislodged by the Military Joint Task Force, such areas still remain actually as they were, polluted. And having to do this now is one of the things that we are looking at. What we have done so far is to have an inventory of them, have them georeferenced so that at the appropriate time when there is funds for that, we will go into it and make sure that such areas are equally cleaned up. And as a matter of fact, this is not limited to just the oil producing areas only. There are other parts of Nigeria that also have this type of incidents. For instance, the areas where pipelines traverse have oil theft occurring along them, and each time this happens, such areas are equally impacted. So, by and large, we still need to make special provision for this part of impacted area for cleanup.
Our report, have you thought of the possibility of alternative livelihood options for these persons?
Yes, of course, we have thought about that. There has been so many calls for establishment of modular refineries. Yes, modular refineries can be established, but of course, if you know the number of people that are engaged in artisanal refining, they are much more than what you can really put under modular refinery. Modular refinery is going to be just like the normal refinery. The only difference is scope. One is big, one is small. All that are done in the main refinery are also done in the modular. And in looking at this, having seen and sensed that modular refinery may not accommodate everybody, what we have done from our own standpoint of view is to engage with some private sectors, especially we have been in discussions with the Federal University of Petroleum Resources, FRUM, that has a pilot project on spent oil refining. And we believe with the quantity of spent oil that we have, and when we say spent oil, these are the drained engine oil from motor vehicles, from generators and so on, that presently are just being disposed of anyhow. We can get these ones also put together and engage some use that may not find any space in the proposed modular refinery to engage in the recycling of spent oil. This one, we equally engage some staff. For instance, the capacity of this spent oil recycling plant will give you about 16 people in employment at a given point in time, based on our discussion with FUPRI. And you can have 2 shifts, and that gives you 32 people working in a day in one particular recycling plant. And besides, this plant is such that it will be mobile. So it's not going to be stationary. You can move it from point to point, and it is going to be a very good alternative to the youths who are not going to be engaged in the modular refining. And besides that, just like what is being done in the cleanup of Ogoniland, there is in the UNEP report, as it was presented, provision for those who engaged in artisanal refining. That is actually what the UNEP report talked about in the case of alternative livelihood. Engage people who are into artisanal refining in other sources of livelihood, so that they will leave this artisanal refining and not repollute whatever may have been cleaned up, provide them with alternative, and of course, In the budget that was made for the cleanup of Ogoniland, a certain sum of money was set aside for that particular subject. So we can also replicate that in some of the areas where we have these problems of artisanal refining. It's just that this scope of the UNEP report covers just the Ogoniland as it is because of the problem that was there at a point in time.
Update. If you're just joining us, we're taking a look at 5 years of environmental remediation by under President Muhammadu Buhari. When we return, we'll take some calls and some tweets to our Twitter handle. But first, we'll take some reports. The first reports will be coming from Lagos and Lokoja.
Ocean surge and coastal erosion are age-long challenges facing Lagos. The beaches in Lekki and Abuja areas of the state wear conspicuous looks that depict the magnitude of erosion affecting the vast shoreline. As part of measures to address this, the Eco-Atlantic City Project, an adaptation initiative, was created by the state government in partnership with private investors. Although the city now sits where the once popular Lagos Bar Beach was, it has helped in checking the recurrent ocean surge in Victoria Island. Environmentalists are, however, raising alarm that the project is aggravating coastal erosion at adjoining beaches in Lekki and Abuja.
In 2000 and 2013, almost 109 meters was eroded with people's homes being submerged, and that more has happened. Between that time to 2016, we're using satellite images, but between 2016 and last year, we're using actually drone images, and it showed clearly that the environment and the beaches have been submerged, people's homes have been submerged.
To check the massive erosion, the state government has built more than 16 groins to protect more than 14 kilometers of the coastline.
This is Alpha Beach. This is where the last barrier that was done, and there are a few of them that started from Eco-Atlantic and came this way. So this is the last one going towards the east. And you can see that the barrier is working on this side because, in fact, sand is even building up more than it was before the barrier. So here things are well, no erosion, but just on the other side of it, it has made the erosion here worse. And so if you look at this side again, this is again where the erosion is going forward, and there are some buildings of community around here.
Strategies by the state government to stop coastal erosion may not be yielding desired result, unlike interventions to check water hyacinth.
It's also quite expensive, so the state was able to ensure that within the Ikorodu, where we have mass movement of boating operations, we're able to curb the activities of this water hyacinth. What do? We pegged the water hyacinth to a particular area, and we're able to then get the water hyacinth machine while also getting local capacity to lift up the water hyacinth, bring it to land, and then we partnered with a body called Mitimeth, who recycle the water hyacinth. They actually recycle it into different kind of handmade products, which people in communities actually sell, and is a source of revenue from them.
The initiative of the Lagos State Water Authority is complemented by efforts of the National Inland Waterways Authority. The agency also carries out seasonal clearing of water hyacinths from the waterways.
The people around the coast of Ganaja and Shintaku in Lokoja, as well as others in the riverine communities in Kogi State, largely depend on the rivers Niger and Benue as their source of livelihood, with their major occupations predominantly fishing, farming, and water transportation. Ecotnia crassipes, also known as water hyacinth, and bonso by the locals here in Kogi, has constantly posed a threat to their survival. Umar Ibrahim, one of the locals, is into water transportation, while Garba Bashir, a fisherman, both have one peculiar problem, and that is paddling through the dense mouth created by the water hyacinth.
Sometimes if they flow together, it used to roll into our propeller. It disturbs our movement.
Water hyacinth affects our fishing because if it is so much on top of water, then the net is not flowing well.
For those who commute, trade, or fish on the water bodies, the water hyacinth plant has been a source of worry because of how it invades the large water bodies due to its high rate of vegetative propagation, hence affecting all water-based economic activities, native aquatic lives, irrigation, quality of water, traffic, as well as federal and state hydro infrastructure projects.
It cuts off the other submerged plants from getting sunlight and oxygen.
However, in the 5 years of the Buhari administration, this environmental challenge has continued to decline, especially with new knowledge on remediation. Water hyacinth to the fishermen is a bad omen, but to those who are knowledgeable on how to convert what many regard as threats and waste to wealth, use the hyacinth as organic fertilizer, ethanol fuel, and feeds to animals, while also serving as sources of food and oxygen to some species of aquatic beings.
We still have two reports from Enugu and Ibadan.
Erosion menace in some parts of the southeast has become a major source of worry to most communities in the area due to its devastating effects on their sources of livelihood, such as farmlands and livestock, as well as houses and properties. In Anambra State, which is considered as one of the most erosion-prone and erosion-devastated landscape in the country, there are several cases of swallowed-up houses and people fleeing their ancestral homes due to gullies. With about 962 active erosion sites, the state is currently working on 14 sites, which include a 100-foot deep site in Uragun Nnewi North local government area, where over 4 billion naira has been put in to control the menace. The 35-meter deep erosion site at Obelago Ozala Road in Onitsha, which has affected over 40 houses, and the Obiofia Nnewi erosion site.
A lot of houses have caved in. Yes. And many more are threatened. In less than 20 days, you will get to the source of that water and divert it here. If the water is diverted here in the interim, all those other buildings will be saved.
Similar interventions by the federal government, the state, and World Bank in parts of Udi, Ngwo, Night Mile, Nsude, and Ezagu in Enugu State seem not to be enough, as the state still has many erosion sites yet to be attended to. These include the Ihaka erosion site, Ehalomona, Oba, Enugu-Eske, and Obinofia erosion sites.
One major environmental and public health problem posing serious threats to about 99.7% of human source of livelihood in the world is erosion, which through the combined effort of flooding and some human activities is wreaking havoc on lives and property as well as economic potentials. Oyo State, as one of the eco-sensitive areas prone to erosion and flooding, has however enjoyed the federal government's intervention towards remediating the environment from soil erosion.
The federal government, through the Ecological Fund Office, make available ecological funds for states to assess in tackling these soil erosion and other land degradation activities.
You see erosion along the footpath, that's another one. And in some cases, that one will lead to gully. Then we have erosion created by human beings, mainly construction companies, where they will open up the land, they will cut the hills and leave it unattended to.
One of such is the Nigeria Erosion Watershed Management Project, NUMAP, which is targeted at scaling up gully restoration and watershed management activities. Oyo State was one of 7 states that qualified for the second phase of the project under President Muhammadu Buhari, having met the selection criteria.
Work with the World Bank such that a new program called Nigerian Erosion and Water Management Program, Watershed, new map, has been put in place, and they are working in addressing the issue of soil erosion.
Also, efforts of the present administration in the area of research and development in mitigating soil erosion in recent times has been described as commendable.
Those reports sustain the conversation. We'll continue the conversation shortly after the break.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
Coronavirus is real. Steps to avoid this pandemic. Wash your hands regularly or sanitize your hands. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Stay at home unless absolutely necessary. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth if your hands are not clean. Avoid the spread of coronavirus. Coronavirus is real.
Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying tuned. When we went on break, we have been to Lagos, Lokoja, Enugu, and Ibadan. We take some tweets and some calls. Our first caller tonight is David West from Jenegua. Hello, David West. We lost that caller. And Honorable Minister, this tweet is for you, but before then, from the reports we have gotten, let's take a look at water hyacinth projects, erosion projects through the new map, and from the avalanche of responses we have gotten from Professor Shola, Issa Sadiq, Idris Musa, and Marvin Dickel. Huge, ambitious projects. Timelines. Without timelines, can we develop? Can we deliver?
No, we need timelines, and starting with hydrocarbon pollution remediation project, the timeline at the beginning of the project was 5 years to finish this phase of cleaning, phase 1. Unfortunately, as I have mentioned, and the project coordinator has mentioned too, we have missed that timeline actually, which is one of the reasons why we sought for approval to re-engineer, reinvigorate the project, and we got that approval from Mr. President. We are doing that. The timeline now will have to be pushed anything between a year and 2 years before we can now successfully complete this remediation project. That is already on the way, the reinvigoration of that project. So that's one timeline. Secondly, the 25 million trees. By the end of this year, that's the timeline for that, we intend to plant 25 million trees plus.
Sorry, before we lost this caller, we have this caller from Rivers,
Okay.
Ezra.
Okay.
Can we listen to him? Hello,
Yes,
Ezra.
why not?
Hello, Ezra.
Hello.
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 We can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Hello.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead. We can hear you.
Hello.
Oops, he can't hear
Hello?
us.
It seems. Hello, Ezra. We can hear you.
Hello.
It looks we are having challenge with that call. Please
Yeah,
go ahead.
he can't seem to hear us. So, with the 25 million trees, the timeline is end of this year, because we want to plant those 25 million trees this year, in fact beyond, but that is the timeline for that particular project of 25 million trees. You see, the issue of trees, as I mentioned earlier, will achieve the timeline by the grace of God, and beyond that. The thing is, we are getting a lot of cooperation from state government. Let me commend them for that, especially for the first time they agree to gazette those pieces of land that they will provide for planting of these trees and become some kind of federal reserve, forest reserve. So no governor that will come in and just decide to pull these trees down and build whatever he wants. So that's a big plus, a big step forward for the governors, which they, I can say, unanimously agreed to do when we went to the governors forum and made presentation. So that's another timeline. The Numa project, the erosion which was mentioned, and especially is a project that started in the southeast and has now increased number of states to deal with, especially the menace of gully erosion. We have other erosion departments that deals with the normal conventional erosion. And this one, the timeline for the first phase of this project, I believe, is up to 2022. But then we are getting another second project of that World Bank project. And this is World Bank project. Sometimes issues with timeline is counterpart funding from state. It may cause some delay. But I think with that too, we are on course. Indeed, erosion is a very serious challenge, not just displacing people, but also for the ecosystem, for biodiversity. So on those are the timelines.
The new map, does it cut across states of the federation or selected states?
No, selected states. Selected states. Yeah.
Okay, before we take this caller, Innocent from Taraba State, before I take the tweet, hello, Innocent. Hello, Innocent.
Hello. Hello, good evening, sir. Hello,
Innocent is calling from Taraba State. Hello, Innocent.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yes, we
can hear you. Go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Go ahead.
Hello. Good evening, sir.
Go ahead.
Yeah, hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. So I want to commend the Honorable Minister of Environment. Hello, are you hearing me?
We can hear you. Go ahead, please, Innocent.
Hello?
Innocent, don't listen to yourself. Can you go ahead with your issue, please? Well, if you're calling in and we are true to you, please turn down the volume of your television set and raise your issues or questions, please. Thank you. Honourable Minister, there's this tweet from Ovevik from Lagos. It says, "Sir, can the Honourable Minister tell us the percentages of work done in the remedial processes so far on all the jobs locations in a percentages of 1 to 100% from Lagos?" The second one is, okay, that one is to the kill. So you take this one.
Well, the percentages, for the first ones, the 21 sites that have been awarded since last year, from what Dekil said, about 60%. And we're pushing, more. We want to quickly finish this 21, because this should have been finished. That's the issues we had with the timeline. This 21 should have been finished by now. Unfortunately, they are not, but we're about 60%, closing to 70. Again, we intend to finish this in the very near future, maybe 2 months or so. And then the 36, the contractors are moving to site now. So, but the compilation level, you leave it at 60%.
Okay. I must say, if you're putting in a call and we can't hear, we are having even issue with the line, you could as well join the conversation via our Twitter handle at Tuesday Live NTA. I hear Ezra is back online. Ezra is calling in from Rivers State. Hello, Ezra.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Ezra. We can hear you. Go ahead.
And in the my question is to the minister direct, because part of the report was that there should be a provision for potable water for all the community in Ogoniland. And up till now, some communities there is no potable water up to today. And 5 years, well, this is 5 years now been started, but up till now there is no single water in some community. Then I want to ask that what is delaying the provision of this, at least delaying the Minister of Environment to make sure that there is potable water for the Ogoni people. Then another question is for the Marvin Decade, that because the 21 companies that they at least are selected, because the report is doing that there are some indigenous companies which they are qualified but they are not selected. Now my question is that the other one that is coming out, about 29 companies coming out, how many indigenous companies that have been carrying, because there are some people that said that there are some companies that they are qualified to go but they are not selected in the first. So the second phase now they are coming now. How many indigenous companies were having in the amount of 29? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ezra. And I think the questions are directed to Dekil. Dekil, you heard the question raised by Ezra regarding indigenous companies qualified and the issue of water projects. And quickly, a tweet here too says from Abu Chekun 2. My question is, will the Ogoni cleansing be a project of using elephant to get catfish? I mean, how much, how long, and when will it commence? Can you knock off those 3 questions at once?
Thank you very much. I will start with the water bit. The water project, it's a project that is on the front burner for us. As we speak, we have concluded collaboration with the Rivers State Ministry of Water Resources, where we are in the first phase of the work, taking out 6 lots in the 4 local governments. So we have 6 lots ready. As of today, we've sent out the tender documents to all the pre-qualified contractors. When we send out, according to the Procurement Act, when we send out these tender documents, the next thing that follows is a technical and the commercial phases evaluation. Thereafter, we will then award. So very, very shortly, we will have the companies in the communities rehabilitating and putting in place new water facilities. So we are just at the point where that project is taking off. Talking about the Ogoni companies, what we are doing is an international project. It's a project that requires a whole lot of capacity building, and that's exactly what we've been doing. We started by training the Ogoni expert, like I explained to you. We took those experts to Switzerland with UNEP to train them to that level. Now, for us to have indigenous companies that will compete internationally for a project like this, it means we'll have to do a whole lot of capacity building for them as well. So the first phase of the work, we didn't have much of them, and we have more of them in this next phase. But we're not just letting them do this work. We are building their capacity. We are telling them, and we are also providing a platform that allows them to partner with top international firms so that they could participate in this project effectively, not because they are Ogonis, but because they are competent professionals. And it's important that we note this. We want to encourage them, but to be competitive. So they are getting this on merit, and we are building their capacity. capacity to be able to meet this demand. Talking about when is the remediation started? For that caller, the remediation since started. In January last year, we introduced the first 21 companies. In January this year, we introduced another set of 36. So we've got 57 companies. They are on site. If you go to our website, if you will see activities at the various sites at different levels. And like the Honorable Minister said, we are on the average, on the first 21, 60% completion.
Dekil, please, just for clarification, we know that it is called Ogoni Cleanup, but it's a hub. Can you just highlight the area of coverage of this cleanup, just for emphasis?
Okay, again, commending the president for taking the political will and getting this off. The Ogoni Cleanup Project is only the beginning of the Niger Delta project, of cleanup in the entire nation. So what it is that we are doing, in Ogoniland, we are developing a template that will be rolled across the entire region. So it's a signature project, like the minister said, a signature project that marks the beginning of remediation work across the country in similar circumstances.
Okay, Honourable Minister, 2 more tweets before I go to Professor Adepoju. Kudos to the Buhari administration for putting measures to address environmental remediation, but emphasis should be on good monthly sanitation management of the whole country. This is coming from Dauda in Jos Plateau State. And this other one from Princeville says, we thank Mr. President for the show of interest in the Ogoni cleanup. We also comment at HIREP Nigeria for their efforts towards a cleaner Ogoni. And the last one here is from Alex Badom from Ogoni. He says, I'm so glad that at HIREP are passionately executing the Ogoni project despite all odds. The project has employed a whole indigenous Ogoni people. You want to react to this?
Yes, absolutely. We have provided a lot of jobs. Even this last 36 that we handed over already are planning on employing a lot of youths. So as far as sanitation is concerned, we are reinvigorating also the training of more environmental health officers in the ministry, because we have an agency, that is the Environmental Health Officers Registration Council of Nigeria, who are actively participating in the control of COVID-19 currently in this pandemic. As far as other sanitation, in those that it used to be monthly sanitation, what we want is to just create a culture of sanitation hygiene in the whole country, not just on Saturdays at the end of the month. No, but let us be a culture that everybody is involved with that. So for that, we have sanitation desks in the 36 countries, in each of the state Ministry of Environment, and also environmental health officers down at the state and local government level. This is all to just make sanitation a culture, not just a one-time thing or daily thing. And finally, there's something I just want to mention. This has to do also with job and some kind of economic activity. In the Unguru land, wetland area, that's in Jigawa area, Adeja, thank you, going down to Yobe. There was this typha grass, some kind of grass that has just choked up the canal. And those were cleared 3 years straight from, I believe, in 2017, 18, 19. Now you can navigate from that area all the way down to Yobe. This has provided jobs and has provided navigation for increased economic activities.
Okay.
So that's something that also is an achievement.
Increased the water flow to Lake Chad.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's part of also the recharging of the Lake Chad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I've kept Professor Adepoju quiet for some time, and I must come to the angle where you talked about federal government does not have land. But what do you make of government reserve, community forest, and the national parks? How available and how useful? I say this because most times people do not recognize the fact that the forest, by simple definition, is the storehouse of God-given, uncountless, boundless resources.
Absolutely.
Where I believe so many people will not know that if you take a look at the forest, you may forget about white-collar job, and you can do so many things. So what do you make of this?
Thank you. Let me start from where you stop. The government state issue was what informed the Honorable Minister to interface with the Governors Forum, and like he said, we got more than we bargained at that meeting. We were looking for how to have an MOU.
Are you overwhelmed?
No, they were more concerned than us. Okay. And that was what really encouraged us. Beyond them participating in the planting, they agreed that they're going to give us the land, gazette, and let it become a reserve. It will shock you that of all the reserves the country had, some that are not degazetted now are football field already. Even when it stayed there, the trees are no longer on it. And linking it to your earlier issue on red loss.
Yes. Carbon stock.
Carbon stock. We ran into some issues because the people that were supposed to do the carbon trading, that was when they started with Cross River, and some money were paid. And thank God, like you mentioned, National Park. If National Park had not been holding the Cross River, the contiguous forest left there, probably won't have anything to show up. So is this conservation process, they stuck with the National Park and with us, were the only forest cover left. Mm-hmm. Take Cross River out, take Omo in Ogun State, to Shasha in Osun, to Oluwa in Ondo, then the Orunigbes in Edo and Co. Nothing is left. So, and that's why we're mandated by the Honourable Minister, one, to regenerate those that can be regenerated, and to continue to expand as many as we can. And that's why the 25 million tree planting is not going to be one-time thing. It's going to be sustained until we achieve the national mandate.
So is the National Park involved in all this?
Yes, it's part of the... We have one goal. Forestry Service of Nigeria, National Park, Great Game Wall, Forestry Department, Department of Drought and Desertification. All of us have one goal: to increase the forest cover of the country.
Exactly.
Okay, but at least you're not looking at only timber resources, you're looking at non-timber forest resources.
The non-timber forest resources are even part of what brought about all the products that the Honourable Minister mandated us to produce. We have over 20 different herbal products now, and one of it is the COVID-19 mixture that we're waiting the outcome from NAFDAC. These are non-timber forest products.
Okay, thank you. Sadiq and Idris, I'll come to you, but let's quickly take these reports from Port Harcourt, Bayelsa, and Katsina. We'll come to you shortly after the reports. Don't go away.
The Niger Delta environment is said to be one of the most devastated environments in the world due to the consistent oil exploration and activities of illegal bunkers. Just recently, reports of dead fishes and mammals along some coastal communities in Rivers and Bayelsa states have heightened the suspicion of polluted ecosystem occasioned by oil spillage and flow of industrial waste.
The forests are the lungs of the earth. Many people don't know this. All of these plants give out oxygen, and you need oxygen as human beings to survive. So we need the forest to continue providing the oxygen that we need to survive.
In the last 4 years, IPREP had allocated 36 sites to contractors across the 4 Ogoni local government councils for remediation, and most of the sites were at the level of developing biocells before the suspension of work due to the outbreak of COVID-19. However, the repeated cases of oil spillage and activities of illegal bunkers have remained a threat to the success of some of these interventions by government.
The Ogoni cleanup is like a masterpiece. In fact, a lot of people call it a laboratory, whereby you make the experiment and you go to other areas. Because it's not only Ogoni we are going to clean. A lot of areas.
Objectives for the establishment of HYPREP is to see that the socio-economic lives of the people are also being addressed. For instance, giving them potable water, addressing the issue of health situation, the cottage hospitals, improving the educational life of the people who have been deprived. But I do not see this thing to have been achieved so far. Perhaps it's still on the pipeline.
Our remediation work is what we have started since last year, and we are going to be increasing activities this year, including taking on the complex sites, which are the major sites of impact as identified by UNEP in this year.
Stakeholders advise agencies in the region to develop policies that will translate water hyacinth into economic values to address challenges posed by hyacinth in the waterways.
Water hyacinth is one of the world's most invasive aquatic plants. It is known to have significant ecological and socio-economic effects as it obstructs movement of motorized boats and aquatic life. The plant, which annually invades the coastal environment of Bayelsa State and beyond, has become a menace to many riverside communities as it constitutes navigational challenges on waterways. Against this backdrop, the federal government, through relevant agencies, had embarked on water hyacinth clearing project in the Niger Delta region in years past to rid the coastal environment of the menace. Bayelsans, however, say intermittent clearing of the waterways is ineffective. Rather, ways of harnessing the natural resource should be explored.
We hear every day that contracts are awarded to clear these things whenever they come, but they're still there. As I speak with you, if you go, you still find water hyacinth blocking most of our waterways, and it is very unhealthy for outboard engines because it affects the propeller. I
think the last time I traveled on that one.
Our next focus will be the report from Katsina.
Situated at extreme north and bordered by the Republic of Niger to the north and share boundaries with Jigawa and Kano State to the east, Kaduna State to the south, and Zamfara State to the west. The state is highly influenced by the impending threat of climate change due to its proximity to the fringes of Sahara Desert, which has adverse implications on the state that may lead to large displacement of population, crop farming, and livestock, as the people are predominantly farmers. It is against this background that the Great Green Wall Initiative was established by the federal and state government, being implemented in 14 frontline local government areas of the state to cushion the effect of desertification, as well improve the socio-economic activities of people living in the area. Director of Planning, Research and Statistics, overseeing drought and desertification of the Katsina State Ministry of Environment, Yahaya Sani, said about 49 kilometers of shelter belt and 49 boreholes drilled have so far been established in the frontline local government areas of the state in the last 5 years.
The program is tailored towards having the shelter bed and the orchard by the side. They go hand in hand. It is done this way so that at the end of it, after the shelter bed is established and the orchard too is established, the community will have a sort of something to hold on to, something that they can be getting that can improve their or enhance their livelihood.
He said the State Ministry of Environment is working assiduously to ensure that the Great Green Wall is sustained in the communities affected by desertification. The director further said another measures taken to ensure the success of the initiative is the continuous tree planting campaign and nurturing it to maturity.
Thanks for staying tuned. Let's go straight to Issa Abubakar Sadiq. Listening to the reports, especially the very last report, what's your projection in terms of now we have the short-term goal of the Green Wall project? Where will we be in the next 2-3 years if the long-term objectives are followed strictly?
The long-term, what we intend to do after the long-term, sorry, come again with the question.
The Green Wall project has short and long-term objectives. By your assessment, where will we be in the next 2 to 3 years?
In the next 2 to 3 years, we intend to plant over 25 million trees. These trees are in different models. What I mean by different models, They are in forms of shelter beds. We intend to plant over 300 kilometer shelter beds in every year. And these 3-kilometer shelter beds will be useful for the community in terms of soil erosion, wind erosion control, increasing the soil nutrients, and other things. Also, we intend to do community woodlots. These community woodlots are meant for the fuel wood. You know, in the far north, the fuel wood is very scarce. The kerosene is very expensive. So this fuel wood now, once established, they can cut small part of the stem, small part of it, and use as a firewood. Also, we intend to do gum arabic plantation. Everybody knows that gum arabic is an economic tree. So this gum arabic is very useful to the community. They can produce gum and sell it. And gum is very expensive, and it can be imported to another country. We also intend to do large-scale restoration. This restoration is a combination of planting trees and fodder crops. These trees, they are indigenous species. Once planted, they can be useful for medicinal purposes and other purposes as well. The fodder, the herdsmen that are moving down southwest can be used this area. We can introduce them by asking them to graze. Then after they graze, after a year we replant another fodder, and year by year it will reduce the farmer-herder clash. So also in our forest reserve is being depleted. So we want to enrich this forest reserve by enrichment planting. We want to identify the species that are there and populate it. Also, institutions. There are a lot of institutions that are calling to us to assist them. Most of them during the dry season, when it's about to rain, as a result of wind, heavy wind during the onset of the rainy season, most of their roofs were blown off. So they wanted for us to intervene using these trees that we planted as a windbreaks. This will serve to reduce the hazard of the winds being blown off. We also intend, there are a lot of species that are now being extinct. So these species, we want to bring them on board and plant them on their farmlands or other special places that we feel them that we want to plant. So in the next 5 years, we intend to produce and plant over 25 million seedlings. And this one will help a lot in increasing forest cover. Also, alternative livelihoods. These alternative livelihoods are during the on-farm period, some youth are idle doing nothing. So we are trying to teach them. We have already constructed 5 skill acquisition centers. These skills acquisition center, they are in Katsina, Sokoto, Bauchi, Yobe, and Kano State. This skill acquisition center is a training center that we engage youth and teach them to do some tailoring, some sewing, Oxford farming, and what have you. We also have rural infrastructure. This rural infrastructure, we intend to distribute clean cookstuff. These clean cookstuff are efficient foodstuff, whereby you don't need to waste so much wood to cook your food. With 2 or 3 sticks, you can use it to cook your food within a short while. Using this clean cookstuff, they are very efficient and they are well designed. We have example like Save 80. It's very efficient cookstuff. If we are distributing free to the communities along our operational areas, that is 11 frontline states. Already in 2014, we distributed over 100 pieces of this clean cook stove in Argungu local government. Also in 2015, we distributed over 200 pieces of this clean cook stove in Gusau local government of Zamfara state. Also in 2019, we distribute 1,705 solar-powered household lighting system provided by for the use of the communities. So we are also training the youth to do so many menial jobs that maybe will increase their livelihood. That is what we intend to do in the long.
Go to Idris Musa. Idris, I imagine NOSDRA having a lot of stakeholder groupings to attend to. You have talked about the issue of alternative livelihood option. What about the interface with the communities that you're dealing with within your area of jurisdiction, besides maybe the oil companies and other stakeholders? Community engagements.
Thank you very much. Community engagement is very useful and very important in what we do. We have had, in a number of times, had what we call disaster risk reduction programs, which we did in some of the states in the oil producing areas, and we also have awareness campaigns, which we do also to make sure that people really understand the nature of the environment in which they are, as well as vis-a-vis the operations of the oil industry operators. The entire area is such that we have to do this because, one, we know that the host communities have to live, the oil companies also have to exist, and then there must be a sort of mutual cohabitation, mutual relationship between the two groups. And what we have also done as established, as put in Establishment Act, is mediation. Mediation to reduce sort of tension between the host communities and the oil industry operators. And this, in many of the cases, we have had to interface with the oil companies and the communities in a way that resolve some of the problems that may have escalated and caused some kind of security risk, as well as delay or not allowing the oil industry operators to do their work. So it's a very delicate balance that we have to do most of the time. And of course, because of the intervention, you would see that in a number of occasions, we now have what we can call rest of mind, and of course, also making sure that whenever there is spill, because what can always aggravate issues between the communities and the oil companies is when there is a spill and you cannot make a decision as to what is the cause of the spill and what you need to do. Once we step into this and then to the satisfaction of the host communities, I think in most cases the oil companies are able to do their job as it should be. So we have this interface. And then, so it's like we also try to engage our sister agencies like the National Orientation Agency to assist us in reaching out to people, in addition to what we do. And if you watch in the recent past, we have had a number of jingles, a number of TV shows saying what should not be done to oil facilities and what we need to do to keep our environment clean. Those are the kind of engagement we have. And like I said, we believe that creating a source of livelihood to the people is very important. And when you have the youth engaged properly, of course, you are bound to have a rest of mind. And that was why we are very keen in this alternative that I mentioned earlier on. And hopefully, the way we are even structuring it is such that it's not going to be stationary. It will be mobile. It's going to be a mobile kind of recycling plant which can move. And of course, apart from being in the oil producing areas, it will also go to other parts of the country, because we have youths all over the country and they are very high in number. And The spent oil that we talked about is all over the country, and the management of it is not what is being done properly right now. So, with the engagement of this private sector having to come up to provide this alternative, is going to go a long way in making sure that we have a very plausible, useful community engagement.
Idris, but before we continue, after this update on COVID-19, we'll be going to Port Harcourt for Marvin Dekil to update us on a tweet that is just landing here. The COVID-19 update from NCDC indicates that the latest report from NCDC says Nigeria has 663 new confirmed cases of COVID-19. The breakdown shows that Lagos has 170, Ogun 108, Bauchi 69, Ebonyi 49, Edo 33, Rivers State 30. FCT and Jigawa both have 26 each. Others are Delta 20, Anambra 17, Gombe State and Kano State have 16 cases each. Imo 15, Abia State 14, Borno and Oyo State 11, Plateau State 8, while Kebbi and Kaduna State have 6 cases each. Ondo has 4, Niger and Katsina 2 cases each, while Osun, Ekiti, Kwara, Nasarawa all have 1 case each. The figures brings Nigeria to a total number of 13,464 with 4,206 discharged and 365 deaths recorded. That's the update on COVID-19. Quickly, let's go to Dekil in Port Harcourt. Dekil, this tweet came in from Emmanuel Ene in Abuja. It says, please, with respect to Ogoniland remediation, what are the measures in place to remediate groundwater, having in mind that the area is of shallow depth?
Right. Like I explained earlier, before we started the technical implementation of the work, we went back to Geneva and sat with the experts that wrote the reports, the UNEP experts. And in doing that, we were developing the strategy for remediating the whole hog. So the first thing we did was to categorize the sites into complex and less complex sites. So the sites we're currently working on are the less complex sites, and these are sites that has contamination in the soil without contamination in the groundwater. And that's all we're doing now. We're moving next to the complex sites, and that's where the groundwater options are there. So in designing the remediation action for such sites, we do a comprehensive plan. So we have a plan that would take out the soil remediation, the soil contaminants. We have another that deals with the groundwater. So we do this in a comprehensive way so that we don't clean the soil and allow contamination in the groundwater, such that when they are researched, the contaminants are purged onto the soil, which will hold on to it when the tide goes down. So we are having a comprehensive option that will move into the complex sites that will deal with both soil and groundwater.
Thank you so much. Honourable Minister, you were just about giving us what your ministry is doing regarding water hyacinth in Nigeria before a few calls and tweets came in. Can I now allow you to give us an update on that?
A tweet that came in?
A tweet came in, yes. And some of the reports from Lagos and Kogi State.
Okay, was that one of Nguru that...
that I spoke about.
Yeah, which I spoke about.
Similar to what I said.
Yeah, absolutely. Every now and then, you have that kind of situation, and this is all part of the environmental component. If you don't need to do anything with that, if nobody is using it, it's perfectly okay to be there. But like the taifa grass, which we need to remove to have that navigation and have water going into the Lake Chad, just as you have seen in one of your report, where you have the need to use the surface of the water, then that is an issue. Otherwise, as he has mentioned, it's all part of the natural ecosystem. So it depends on what we are really looking at, what we want to do. As you have seen the person complaining about their boat, these are some of the things that we really need to look at and manage based on the ecosystem of that particular area.
Okay, but from the reactions, phone calls, tweets that have come in, would you say that truly within timelines, provision of resources for some of these interventions, in the next maybe 3 years, where will we be across board?
I think we'll do very well. A lot of things have changed in environmental context. If you look at, we are talking about 5 years. An important part of that we have not even mentioned is the issuance of green bonds, something innovative to finance green projects. The first green bond that was issued in the history of Nigeria and the first one in Africa generated funds for the provision of electricity using solar, which is clean energy as we know, and the objective is to energize as many universities as we can. Already some have been commissioned. Kano is one, Bayero University, Nsukka is another one, and there are a number of them coming on board. The second green bond, which we also issued, which is an improvement on the previous, before the 5 years that you are talking about, has been used also towards afforestation and agriculture. We are now in the process of issuing the third green bond, which will go into water and waste management. So a lot of things are happening. And I can assure you in the next 3 years, we'll be very far with Ogoni cleanup. Maybe we might have a deficit of a year or a little bit more because of the issues we had with the timeline. That will go. By the next 3 years, our forest cover, based on what we are doing right now, will be inching towards that international norm of 25% forest cover. Erosion also, as we have approached World Bank, they are willing to extend into new map 2. We will also have, then a major headway in erosion control. So a lot of this in the next years, I can tell you, Nigeria will be well positioned in environmental management and bringing this awareness and building a culture of environmental sustainability. A lot of people that before would not care to plant trees in their domain are now asking and seeking for us to give them trees to plant. So the awareness is getting out there. The ministry is being empowered by Mr. President. I can assure you a lot will happen in 3 years to come.
What about the place of ecological projects?
That too. The ecological fund is there.
We had a couple of them commissioned last year. Where are we with that now?
We have done more and we are doing more. Even in the area of erosion, anything that the Federal Ministry of Environment cannot afford to do, we will seek and send to the Ecological Fund office and they will do some of that. They are doing a lot of gully erosion projects, just like the new map is doing. So it's all coming together and we will continue to push this awareness. To me, is the key. Education awareness campaign is the key. Once you have people buying into environmental management issues, they become your environmental rangers, they become your environmental health officers, they become everything because they will just understand that, hey, I'm not doing it for the government, I'm not doing it for somebody but for me, because I'm part of the environment. If the environment is sick, I can get sick. And especially if we know and we realize that majority of the diseases that are afflicting man are environmentally based from poor managed environment. So we will just continue to do our own job and to educate the people.
Okay, Dr. Adepoju, please, you need to just give us an update. I know it may sound primary, but people need to know, where is the place of watershed management and forest resource sustainability?
Thank you. Let me take the first one first. That's why most of our waterways are dried up, because most of the shed, the trees around them had been hauled down, and the water is exposed, particularly the source of this water or stream, and that quickens they're drying up. But what we've been preaching now, which we had done some pilot work on it, is to see how we can help them transform such watershed management to fish pond, like we had in headquarters of Free in Ibadan, where in one circle we harvested over 5,000 fishes. There, the water is flowing, the pond is dammed there, and nothing. So this is the part we're going now, as well as agroforestry, that we combine both the arable cropping and the tree that we're planting. Now, in the terms of the resources and the forest resources and livelihood of the people, what we call man and biosphere, man living with his environment, cohabiting peacefully. Now, we're doing what we call various enterprises for communities around where we have forest resources. Take for example, Biosphere Reserve, that's the only Biosphere Reserve in the country, where they've been using chemical to fish from the water, and they've been setting the forest ablaze because of either grass cutter or because they want to catch one animal or the other. Now, with the support of some projects, we've been able to empower like 200 inhabitants of that community on 4 different enterprises: fish pond, grass cutter, mushroom, and snary. And they're doing well. So that the Honorable Minister has asked us to replicate it in other communities around the country where we have forest resources hub, so that we can take people away from destroying the forest while they are still cohabiting with the forest and living sustainably.
Does that relate with agroforestry?
That is agroforestry is when you because in forestry you are not friendly with agriculture or agriculturalists, because they want to clear the land and you wouldn't want them to clear. Right. So we're saying you can plant your arable crop and still plant trees. Before they form the canopy, you can be enjoying your arable crop. By the time they are forming the canopy, you can enjoy the carbon trading.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Sadiq. Sadiq, more or less in conclusion, where are we? Will you say that one of the immediate goal of the Great Green Wall project, which is to check desertification, is it being achieved? In conclusion,
the desertification control is achieved. Why I'm saying that, because by the time you do afforestation, you are invariably achieving the control of desertification, because control of desertification is an integrated approach. It's not only afforestation, but you have to do pasture establishment. Also, you have to do alternative livelihoods, and you have to have efficient wood stuff. And all these things are integrated. Once you did it, you achieve desertification control. So what we are doing over the years, for the last 5 years now, from 2013 to date, it's about 7 years now, we have done a lot of work in these 11 frontline states, whereby a lot of lands were converted from wasteland to useful land, where some agricultural activities were being carried out. For example, we intend to do fixed sand dune. Fixed sand dune is an area whereby the plant cannot grow. You cannot even crop anything. So by the time you fix this sand dune, you'll be able to have more land to do your agricultural cropping. So also there are some areas where we have oases. Oases are natural water bodies found in the desert. So these areas now, whereby you see a lot of economic trees being planted in that area. So what we are doing now, we are trying to rehabilitate this oasis if it is obsolete. That is, if it is dead, it's not working. So we want to rehabilitate it and make it functional. So with this thing now, the desertification is being controlled. But you cannot control desertification absolutely. You have to do a little by little till you achieve it. Thank you very much, sir.
Much Issa Abubakar Sadiq. It was nice having you on Tuesday Live tonight. And quickly to Idris Musa, you have explained what you're doing within NOSDRA, but one question people ask is, in just one sentence, do you have functional overlaps with the Ogoni project?
Yes, we do, and not overlap. It is a sort of oversight. We have oversight on the cleanup of Ogoni project, and that oversight is by way of monitoring what they are doing there. Indeed, we have just submitted the first report on the activities of the contractors that are currently engaged in the 21 lots. That is the sites that are undergoing remediation right now. And the second phase will be going back again to take soil water samples to see how clean the cleanup has gone. And then again, we submit a report. So we will do this, and then at the end of the day, we certify. Of course, we are still going to collaborate with the United Nations Environment on this matter in terms of quality assurance and quality control. But the real monitoring and then taking of samples will be done by the agency. That is a collaborative effort, not an overlap, as a matter of fact. And of course, like I said, we also we do this same thing to other parts of the oil-producing areas where we have pollution. Of course, when sites are remediated, we go there to certify, and then get as much evidence of cleanup to all practical extent. So that is what we have as interface with the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project by way of monitoring and then certification.
Idris Musa, Director General, Chief Executive Officer, National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency. It was nice having you on Tuesday Live tonight. Thanks so much. Honourable Minister, for his concluding thoughts. Dekil, just one sentence. What word of reassurance do you have for Nigerians moving forward?
The reassurance I'm giving to Nigerians is that the project is on course. We are re-engineering for more efficiency. The Ogoni people, they've been talking about water, and we have started the process. 6 lots on the way. We will have those contractors in the communities providing water.
Thank you, Dekil, for being on the program tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, Honourable Minister, before we go, quickly, moving forward, 5 years, and by next year we'll be talking about the 6th year on environmental remediation under President Muhammadu Buhari. Any word of assurance?
Oh yes, we are continuing to get support from Mr. President, from the government. The National Assembly are also helping us by making legislations, passing bills that will help us strengthen the work that we do protecting the environment. So I think we are on course. People should expect a turnaround, a refocus in the area of environmental management and even economic sustainability, because we are discovering and moving towards better economic sustainability by changing or paradigm shift into circular economy, where we use less resources but produce more, where we reduce the pressure on land and all that. So expect more.
Well, at this point, let me start by saying, Dr. Shola Adepoju, it was nice having you on Tuesday Live tonight.
Thank you.
And Honourable Minister, we must appreciate you for giving us your time on the program tonight. I believe we have been brought up to speed of 5 years of what Mr. President is doing remediating the environment in Nigeria.
You are welcome.
To our callers, we appreciate you, and all those who send in tweets. I believe we tried as much as possible to our resource persons here to update you on the issues you raised. Thank you so much. That's it on Tuesday Live tonight. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.